උඹේ ඔක්කොම
Thank you, sir, our director, sir. Good evening, dear children. I think all you hear me. Okay. So I think children their mics are muted so that they cannot speak. I'll carry on the session. First of all, I would like to share my screen. Dear children, today we are going to discuss section B, first paper, section B, bringing Tony home, question, its format and criteria, and what is expected out of you. Such things will be discussed in today's session. 1B, question 1B, fiction, bringing Tony home. And I think the pictures are clear to you. First of all, I would like to show you how skills are tested and marks are allocated for that. Yes. How the skills are tested and the marks allocated. In section B, Lamai, you have 3 questions, out of which you answer only 1 question from the novel you have done. If you have done 2 novels, you have a choice, but those who haven't, they have only 1 choice to answer the one they have learned. There you have 4 sub-questions carrying 10 marks. First one, A. When it comes to this A, sub-question A, you have to identify the text and the author. Also the situation, especially you have to identify the situation of the text, characters, events and issues, situations you have to understand. Examiners test whether you know the situation. Most often what is asked is this way. I have prepared. Yes, most often this is the question: what is the situation? What is the context? That is how the question is asked. Then sub-question B, comprehension, which also carries 2 marks, where when it comes to comprehension, this is what is tested. Yes, comprehension. In comprehension stage, Lamai, what is tested is whether you remember. Yes, whether you remember and understand the particular extract from the text, whether you remember and whether you understand the event that is tested. Understand the relationship with the given extract, and your familiarity with the situation is tested, whether you are familiar with the event may be tested, whether you are familiar with the characters and interpersonal interrelationships and inferences are tested in this sub-question B. Right. Now I would like to show you how, I would like to compare how the questions made from 2016 when it comes to sub-question B. When it comes to sub-question B, this is how questions were asked from 2016 comprehension part. I am comparing the questions. You see, section B, sub-question B. In 2016, the question was, why was Tony excited? 2016, why was Tony excited? In 2017, it was, what are the books mentioned here? How does the speaker feel about these books? In 2018, how has Tony changed? In 2019, why doesn't mother answer the narrator's question? In 2020, why is he sitting on the edge of the veranda? Now, these are the questions asked with the introduction of the new syllabus from 2016. Here, when we examine the questions, you see some similarity. Why in 2000, the question starts with why in 2016. In 2019 also, the question starts with why. In 2020 also, the question starts with why. And how, what in other years, right? Now, here the examiners see whether you can employ your knowledge of the text to a question, whether you remember and understand, and whether you can employ your knowledge, whether you can apply application, right? Whether you can, whether you can understand and apply your knowledge to the particular questions are tested. It makes you think. It tests whether you can think of the situation and give an answer, right? So this, the same way in your year, in 2021 also, the question will be asked. Here I have compared the questions from 2016 to 2020, right? Whether you remember and understand are tested in this part, right? Section B. Okay. Next lamai, that is comprehension, for which you get 2 marks. Right. Next part is application part. Sub-question C, application. There, it tests whether you infer meaning from the given extract. It tests whether you can infer meaning from the given extract. Whether you can apply your knowledge, whether you can apply your knowledge to the particular context given, to the particular context. The answer you write, should be contextual one. You are not giving. Now I am going to discuss 2 examples as well. After this explaining, I am discussing 2 questions with you, right? There you will be understanding. I am just introducing here. I am only just introducing here the format, nature of the question. It tests, question C tests whether you can apply your knowledge to the particular context given in the text, right? I think you all can understand. These questions are not unfamiliar to you. I know that you all are familiar to these questions. From grade 10, you have been learning these. Right. Now let's see. Application. You see, here I am comparing what were asked since 2016. In 2016, you had to write the meanings of two words, delicately and suspended, in 2016. In 2017, also you encountered, grinning from ear to ear, a word and a phrase. In 2018, perfectly sculpted muscle, pools of bubbling love. Likewise, two phrases were given. In 2009, straightened up, performed that feat, to a phrase and a sentence, a phrase and a word. In 2020, slightly out of breath and a split second. Right. What will be in 2021? In 2021, in your year, what will be the application part? Right. Lamai, unlike in other years, from this year on, from your year on, you will get a phrase like you have in 2018, like you have in 2018. From this year on, you will get a phrase, a meaningful chunk to apply your knowledge, to employ your knowledge, right? The answer you write should be a contextual answer. You are not to write the dictionary meanings of the words. You are not to write the dictionary, surface full meanings of the words. You write the contextual meaning with your own words, as far as possible. With your own words, you write. Right. Next, I am moving to last question, last sub-question. That is critical evaluation. That is critical evaluation response, for which you get 4 marks. For which you get 4 marks, which is very, very important and significant, because if you are going to score 40 marks out of 40 for the first paper, this may be a barrier. This question may be a barrier for you to reach that 40 milestone. So you have to practice answering this question more and more, right? The answer should have a particular structure as well. Otherwise, you won't get 4 out of 4, right? We'll discuss how to write that, how to write to that answer question today, right? Here I have the questions asked in response and evaluation part, last part of section B, sub-question D. In 2016, you see, this question tests whether you can respond to a particular literary extract, whether you can write what you feel, whether you can comment. It tests whether you can respond, whether you can evaluate, whether you can comment. Comment means you write the pros and cons, right? Guna, aguna kiyanna puluhanda, right? Whether you can respond, criticize or analyze, admire or appreciate. Your ability of thinking is tested. Thinking and writing is tested in this part. Let's see the questions asked from 2016. What does this paragraph reveal about the relationship between the narrator and Tony? Relationship between narrator and Tony. You have to give, first of all, or at the end. First of all, or at the end of the answer, you have to give an interpretation to sum up, to summarize the relationship of narrator and Tony. Okay, in the particular structure that is required. Okay. Then in 2017, why does the speaker feel right on the top of the world? You have to imagine and write. You have to write what you feel. That should be logical as well. What you write should be critical, logical as well. For whatever the question, but it is logical. Whatever the question you write, but it is logical. Then we give you marks, right? Examiners will give you marks. That is mentioned in the marking schemes, right? Next, 2018. What does this extract convey about the relationship between human and the animal? It is just same as the 2016 one. Then 2019. What does the leak in roof and the curtains made of willow oil sari say about their lives? You have to think and write. What are the themes? What are the issues? You have to think and write what you feel, what the characters feel, what the writer feel. Those are the things you discuss. What are the things you discuss? What you have to write, Lamai, here in this question D, sub question. Again, I am giving emphasis on it. What you have to write are, you have to write as far as you feel, right? Your feeling about the situation, your feeling about the characters, the feelings of the characters towards each other. Me charita kerehi tiyena ආකල්ප සහ emotions සහ attitudes, feelings ඔබට ලියන්න පුළුවන්. Also you can write, lamai, the tone, in other words, the attitude of the writer towards the particular situation, the attitude of the writer towards the particular character's action, character's quality. Those will be the answer for this B, where it tests whether you can evaluate a text. Again, evaluate කරන්න පුළුවන්, the response කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා තමයි බලන්නේ. 2020. The speaker experiences a series of emotions in this passage. Analyze those emotions. When you analyze, lamai, you have to be logical. You have to be logical, reasonable. What you present as an answer, as an answer should be reasonable, logical, relevant. Only you will be getting marks, right? Analyze means you explain the situation with arguments, right? You analyze. You have to give possible reasons which are more effective to the answer, to support the particular fact asked in the question, right? Those are key things. Before you answer the paper, you should know what are you going to have, what the examiners expect out of you. You better know what the examiners expect out of you in the paper. That's why I prepared these things for you, right? And I have compared the questions asked from 2016 to 20, right? Now I am moving to first. Now I would like to move to the first example we are going to discuss. I think all you see this question. This is the question from the prototype paper. You may have seen sometimes prototype paper introduced in 2016 when this syllabus was introduced, right? When this syllabus was introduced in 2015, yes, rather 15. This is the question from section B for the introduction of the paper for the new syllabus, right? I chose 8 and we will be answering it today, right? Okay, because this paper is made according to the particular criteria they expect you to answer. I'll read for you here. I think this is clear for you. I sprang up and twisted, turned, and bent, trying to pull the books from behind my back. And the grey woman and her son with the square face were staring at me like I was the craziest thing they had ever encountered in their lives. The books were partially wet with sweat, but still had the smell of fresh biscuits, and I was grinning from ear to ear, wanting to shout and scream with joy and not caring a hoot what the grey woman and her square-faced son thought. Right. You also can read it once. I'll give you 5 minutes, right? I would like to give you 5 minutes to read the question again, read the extract again, and read the questions, and you can jot down your own answers as well within the 5 minutes I am giving you, right? Within 5 to 10 minutes, I'll be giving you, right? Just jot down, you read again and jot down your answers for this question, right? It will take some time, no problem, right? Because I just want to make you think, and I just want to make you understand the questions by yourself. That's why I am giving you the time. Right. I think you understood the questions. I'll again read for you. I sprang up and twisted, turned, and bent, trying to pull the books from behind my back. And the grey woman and her son with the square face were staring at me like I was the craziest thing they had encountered in their lives. The books were partially wet with sweat, but still had the smell of fresh biscuits. And I was grinning from ear to ear, wanting to shout and scream with joy and not caring a hoot what the grey woman and her square-faced son thought. Right. Here you see, Lamai, as I told you, the first question A, I have numbered it as A, right? As 1, question 1 is asked, what is the situation presented in the paragraph? What is the situation presented in the paragraph? Yes, you know this situation. What is the situation? Here, Lamai, can you remember the narrator, after drinking a glass of water from the house at the edge of the road on his way back to the Panama, the narrator, on his way back to the Panama with Tony carrying the bag full of rations, and on the other hand, the dressing table mirror, right? He was very thirsty, hungry, having eaten anything since morning, and thirsty, having not drunk anything since morning. He was exhausted. On his way back to Egodavatta from Depanama, after stopping and drinking a glass of water from the house at the edge of the road, he sits down at the edge of the veranda of the house. At the edge of the veranda of the house, he sits down because he was very tired. And because of the unconscious feeling he found from drinking water at once. He had an unconscious feeling after drinking water, after being thirsty for a long time. Then he sits down and leans his back against one of the wooden pillars. He leans his back against the one of wooden pillars of the veranda. What happened was that he felt something behind his shirt. He felt something behind his shirt. What was that? You all know it was the Russian books. What has happened to Russian books? Russian books has gone little by little from the front side of the shirt to the back side of the shirt while he kept walking through the road. That is what has happened, and he forgot it as well. Right. Then you can write the answer like this. How? A simple short answer. As the narrator leans against the wooden pillar, of the house at the edge of the road, he finds the lost Russian book from behind his shirt. Right. I'll read the answer for you. If you take it down, I'll read it out again. As the narrator leans against the wooden pillar, leans against the wooden pillar of the house, he finds the lost Russian book from behind his shirt. He finds the lost Russian book behind his shirt. That is what happens. He finds the lost Russian book behind his shirt. Right. Next, where does this take place? Where does this take place? We have already said it. At the wayside house, at the house at the edge of the road, at the wayside house where he drank water. That's the place. Right. Question 2. I am moving to question 2. You all see it. Why was the narrator happy? Why was the narrator happy? This question tests whether you can understand, whether you can understand what happens here. Why was the narrator happy? Yes, think about it. Because he found the Russian book. That won't do. Because he found the Russian book, that won't do. It is very simple answer for which all marks will not be given. You have to give reasons why he is so happy, right? Give reasons why he is so happy. Because it means the world to him, to his family. Family's survival. They depend on the Russian book. So we can write this way. Because it means the world to his family. World to his family's weekly survival. Because it means the world to his family's weekly survival. To his family's weekly survival. In other words, it was just like the identity card of Ceylonese those days. This Russian book was like the identity card of Ceylonese. This Russian book was like the identity card of Ceylonese those days. So much important was that during that period. Right. Okay, now I am moving to question C, application part, right? This tests whether you can apply your knowledge to the particular context given. The answer you write should be a contextual one. The answer you write should be a contextual one. Contextual one means you are not to write the dictionary meanings of these words given. You are not to write the surfaceful meaning of these words or phrases given. The answer you write should relate to the situation, relate to the context given. මේ සිද්ධියට අදාළව චරිත සමග ඔබ උත්තරේ ලියන්න ඕන. Otherwise it is wrong. Especially from this year on, particularly from this year on, your answers will be incorrect if you write dictionary meaning. Right, let's see. Question A. The craziest thing they had encountered. Encountered means lamai met. They had met. The craziest thing they had met. Craziest means lamai foolish, mad. You better underline the, yes, you better underline the paper to your hand, you better underline the keywords to which you answer. Then your answer will be correct, right? The craziest thing they had encountered. It means the boy thinks like this. It is the boy who thinks this way. He thinks that boy and the woman, he thinks that the boy and the woman in the house the boy and the woman in that house at the edge of the road would have taken the boy to be the most foolish one they met in their life. Most foolish one they met in their lives. The boy and the woman in the house would have taken this narrator, to be a most foolish one, to be the most foolish one in their entire life. That is you should answer. You should relate to the situation. You should relate to the situation. You should come up with the particular names of the characters. Then only your answer becomes a contextual answer. Then only your answer becomes contextual. Otherwise, it is only dictionary, which will not be given marks with, right? Okay. Next, moving to next one. Not care in a hoot, right? Not care in a hoot. Now, what is happening here? Not care in a hoot means he found the ration book. He is extremely very happy and he wants to shout out his happiness by hooting. There may be instances you may also have faced with where we are really, really happy that we want to hoot out our happiness, shout out our happiness. So at the very of happiness, at the very second of happiness, first second of happiness, we want to hoot it out. You may also have come across, right? Now here also such a situation. Not care in a hoot. He wants to hoot out his happiness. But he cannot go to the extreme of it because the boy and the woman are a strange boy and the woman are looking at him. He is not at his home. He is at a stranger's house. He doesn't know what would they think of him. He doesn't know what would they think of him. That's a problem. Then not care in a hoot means lamai not going to the extreme of hooting to celebrate the happiness of finding the ration book. Not going to the extreme of hooting, shouting out. Going to the extreme of hooting to celebrate the happiness of finding the ration book. That is how the answer is expected. You also can write this meaning in another ways, in your own ways as well, for which marks will be given, right? The particular meaning should be there. Whatever the language you use, whatever the words you use, the particular meaning should be there. It should relate to the context. Then only you will be given marks, right? Not going to the extreme of hooting to celebrate happiness. To celebrate happiness of find in the ration book, right? Next, this is the very important part of the question, last part, which carries 4 marks, where you have to write a little paragraph of 10 to 12 lines, maybe, paragraph of 10 lines you would have to write. There's no exact number, but you have to write. If not, 4 marks wouldn't be given to you, right? Right. The other most important thing is that the answer you write should be more organized, right? More organized. Let's see how to answer, right? Now, with this question, I found a lot of students go wrong. Go wrong with this question, particularly this question. Explain your views about the issue highlighted through the passage. You better underline. If you get the paper only, you cannot now. Issue. Here you have a word, issue. Explain your views about the issue. Views about the issue highlighted. Then Lamai, you have to separate the answer. You have to separate your answer into 2 parts. Into 2 parts you have to separate your answer. You have to find out the issue faced by the narrator here. You have to find out the issue faced by the narrator here, and you have to write, introduce the issue, for which 2 marks will be given, for which 1 or 2 marks will be allocated. මෙතන ප්‍රශ්නේ හොයා ගන්නවට දැන් issue එක ඔයා ඉස්සලාම as the T sentence, introductory sentence to the paragraph, topic sentence to the paragraph, you have to introduce the issue you find in this context, for which 1 mark will be allocated, right? If you are answering in a more organized manner, right? What is the issue? It is, if you don't find the issue correctly, other things will go wrong. That is the most significant thing in this question. If you don't find the issue here correctly, your explanation will go wrong. අනිවාර්යෙන් වැරදිනවා. මේකේ ප්‍රශ්නේ හොයාගත්තේ නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ විස්තරේ වැරදි වෙනවා. Your interpretation will be incorrect. Then you have no marks. Then you lose 4 marks out of 40, right? You will find it difficult to score an A pass for literature, right? If you want to score an A pass, you better score at least 35 for the first paper. Very easy, right? Right. Now, what is the issue? It is with the issue most students go wrong with this question. They think that the issue is loose in the ration book. Here, students think that the issue is loose in the ration book. No, issue is not loose in the ration book here, right? මෙතන ration book එක ගොඩක් ළමයි ලියන්නේ උතන මේ ration book එක නැතිවීම තමයි issue එක හැටියට, right? එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒකට issue එක විදිහට අඳුර ගන්න. That is incorrect. Here you see ළමයි, I sprang up, twisted, turned and bent trying to pull the books from behind my back. That means he has already found the book. Now he has no issue with the book. He has already found. Why is he springing? Because he has already found it. Now he wants to pull it from behind his back. Pitipasing gun on, right? Then the issue is not loose in the ration book here. But many students, I have experienced many students write loose in the ration book is the issue here, which is wrong, right? Then entire answer will be wrong, right? Then what is the issue here? Right, let's read further. And the grey woman and her son with the square face were staring at me like I was the craziest thing they had encountered in their lives. The books were partially wet with sweat, but still had the smell of fresh biscuits, and I was grinning from ear to ear. I was grinning from ear to ear, which is I was grinning from ear to ear means lamai, an idiom, Rudy, Bhavitya. It means that he was extremely very happy, extremely happy to find the book. Grinning from ear to shout and scream with joy. He wants to shout out his joy. He wants to scream his joy, but not care in a hoot, but not going to the extreme of hooting out his happiness. He has to shout out his happiness. But there's a problem. What's the problem? What the grey woman and his square-faced son thought. Problem is that what will the grey woman, what will the inmates, grey woman and the boy think of him? Me narrator gana me පිරිමි ළමයි අම්මයි මොනා හිතයිද? මං ගැන මොනා හිතයිද? මං මේ හයියෙන් හූ කියලා සතුට ප්‍රකාශ කරොත්. That is the issue here. Being the narrator's inability to shout out his happiness. That is the issue here. The narrator's inability to shout out his happiness. Also, you can take, he finds it difficult to get the ration book out from behind his back. That is also a slight issue here. Issue question, but the major issue here is being a narrator's inability to narrator has no access. Narrator has no opportunity to shout out his happiness of finding the ration book. That is the issue, right? Then, first of all, you have to write it. What do you write? The narrator's inability to shout out his happiness. Narrator's inability to shout out his happiness of finding the ration book. The narrator's inability to shout out his happiness of finding out the ration book. That is the issue here. That's the issue here, right? Another issue you can write this way. Am I right? If you can write, he also finds it difficult to pull the ration book. He also finds it difficult to pull the ration book from behind the back of his shirt. Pull the ration book from behind the back of his shirt. He has to spring, twist, turn, bend, do everything to reach the ration book and take it out. It can also be a little issue here, but the most significant issue is his inability. He finds it difficult to shout out his happiness of finding the ration book, which means the most to him, which means the world to him, which decides the weekly existence, right? Explain your views about the issue highlighted here, right? Now, explain your views, Lamai. Then you can write his behavior is, Lamai, here really dramatic. His behavior is really humorous, dramatic in front of the audience of the boy and the woman. Boy and they are the audience. The boy is just like dramatizing, springing, twisting, turning, bending to pull the books from behind his back, right? He wants to shout out his happiness, but unable to do it because he doesn't know what would the woman and the man would think of him. So last of all, Lamai, you can interpret your answer. You can conclude your answer by giving an interpretation to the situation. By situation, interpretation, you can you can sum up your answer in the C sentence, in the last sentence, right? Likewise, we see here, we see here the narrator is embarrassed. We see here the narrator is embarrassed and in the situation, being unable to express his happiness. Being unable to express his happiness, he finds it very embarrassed. Daddy අපහසුතාවකට පත් වෙනවා. මේ සතුට ප්‍රකාශ කර ගැනීමට තියෙන අපහසුතාවය නිසා. He wants to shout out his happiness but cannot because he is at a stranger's place. Okay, that is how you should answer. You should find and introduce the issue here to the marking examiners. Then you should support your issue with details, facts, and examples from the text. Sorry. Last of all, you have to give an interpretation to your answer as the sum up. Right. That is the end of the first answer, first question. Now I am displaying you the second example. Right, here you have example 2. She knew I was awake and spoke to me in a low but clear and sharp, and she spoke slowly, enunciating each word very carefully. She said to me that night that I shouldn't worry about Tony, that he would certainly have gone back to the Panama where he would be all right because there were people who knew him and liked him and would look after him. It is better it happened this way because here Tony would have been very unhappy. Now you go to sleep. Understood? Yes, like earlier, I will give you 5-6 minutes for you to jot down some answers on this question, right? You again read out. She knew I was awake. Who is this she? You have to understand. She knew I was awake and spoke to me in a low but clear and sharp, and she spoke slowly, enunciating, pronouncing. Enunciating means pronouncing each word very carefully. She said to me that night that I shouldn't worry about Tony, that he would certainly have gone back to the Panama. Where is the Panama? Where he would be all right, because there were people who knew Tony and liked Tony and would look after Tony. That is how mother thought and said, it's better it happened this way. It's better Tony went away. Because here Tony would have been very unhappy. Now go to sleep, son. Okay. Try to jot down some answers before we discuss. Here we have Oshadi, Asaini, Chiara, Fernando, Inet, me, Keshan, Lankesh, Etsaran, Miranda. Okay. Okay, Lama, as usual, you get the question. Question A, sub-question 1, what is the situation? Children, when it comes to situation, I have got a simple method to write to that question correctly, where you will score all the 2 marks, right? When you write the situation, you have to refer to who they are, who are referred to the situation. How the metana inni. And next one, where they are. Next one, when. What is the situation? When means what is the time? After some time, or before some time, or while doing something, such like thing. Understand? Chiara, sir, are we only doing bring it 20 minutes? Now, yes, Lamai, because I have been entrusted with doing this novel. මට දීලා තියෙන මේ novel එක කතා කරන්න other novels will be discussed by other teachers, right? I have been entrusted with doing this one, right? Other novels will be discussed by other teachers. There will be more sessions, right? Today I am discussing only section B. We will have another session to discuss essay type questions on bringing Tony home, right? Okay. What is the situation, right? When it comes to situation, I told you, you have to write who they are, you have to write where they are, you have to write when, avasthawa mokakda, before some situation, after some situation, or while doing something. All right. Next, what happens? මොකද මෙතන වෙන්නේ කියන එකත් කියන්න ඕන. Then what are the 4 questions to which you should answer when it comes to what is the situation? මේ what is the situation කියනකොට මොනවටද ඔයා ලියන්න ඕන? Who, where, when, what happens? ඔය හතරට ලියුණා නම් හරි. Answer can be written either in one sentence. Who, where, when, what happens? What is the situation? Can you remember? This is Lamai. You know, after the narrator came home with Tony carrying the bag full of milk charred rice and other things, and also carrying the dressing table mirror. In that evening, he came and asked for a glass of water and drank it and fall on the spot. He fell on the spot, face flat on the ground. Right? Can you remember? Then what happened to him was that he fell asleep. He fell asleep for 3 days of high fever. He had 3 days of high fever on the same bed. In the same horizontal manner, he was lying on the bed for 3 days. After 3 days, he wakes up. Following morning, he wakes up. Then mother gives him a cup of Horlicks. Then in that day, in the evening, father comes. On the day he awoke, after 3 days, he awoke. On the day he awoke after 3 days of high fever, in that evening, in that day's evening, father told him stories of Casabianca and and the soldiers, the fight of Light Brigade soldiers. A story දෙක කිව්වට පස්සේ the narrator went to sleep. But he found it difficult to sleep. He kept awake. He kept awake because he was not sleepy. He kept awake, tossing and turning on the mat. පැදුරේ එහාට වැනෙනවා මෙහාට roll වෙනවා. එහෙම හිටියා. That is the situation. Okay, situation. You can write that situation this way. You can write this way, Lamai. After 3 days of high fever, having listened to father's stories and advices, the narrator finds it difficult to sleep. The narrator keeps awake, and his mother is consoling him. Now go to sleep. Tony would be all right. Tony will be very happy. It's better Tony went. It's better Tony left us. Here Tony has no room to live with us because they are poor. They are living in a half house sharing with Mr. Mendis's family. They are unfair to this narrator's family. They have settled down on 2/3 of the house, which is unfair, injustice, right? You can remember such things as well, but you are not to write those things here. Right. This is the answer again. After 3 days of high fever, having listened to father's stories and advices, after 3 days of high fever, having listened to father's stories and advices, the narrator keeps awake, keeps up. You also correct. Keeps up. Keeps up. The narrator keeps up or keeps awake. Keeps up. Come on. And his mother is consoling him. And his mother is consoling him. His mother is consoling him. That is what is happening here. Right. For which you get Lamai 2 marks. Now I am moving to section. B, question B. Section B, question B. Let's see. What made the narrator to be awake that night? What made the narrator to be awake that night? What made in the sense Lamai? Why? What made in the sense why? What made means why? What made the narrator to be awake? That night. Why was he awake? Why was he unable to sleep? There are several reasons, out of which we can write at least 2 to score 2 marks. To score the 2 marks, you better write at least 2 reasons why he was awake, why he kept up that night. Yes, why he was awake? Because he was highly worried. One thing is that you all know, highly worried and disappointed that Tony has been chased away. He knows that Tony has not left. Tony himself has not left the house. He knows that Tony has been chased away. He got this idea. He got this news from tidbits said by father, mother, and Mr. Mendis, Mrs. Mendis. Tony has been chased away. That is why he was awake. He was worried, highly worried and disappointed that Tony has been chased away. Highly worried and disappointed that Tony has been chased away. That's the reason, right? That is one of the reasons. What is another reason, Lamai? Another reason why he doesn't fall asleep? There is another one, Lamai. That is, he was unable to say his father that he didn't want to do anything naughty by bringing Tony home. He only did his duty. Because Tony was like another member of the family. It is bad to have left Tony behind. He knows that it is bad to have left Tony behind. Tony has been living with us for 7 years. He wanted to say those things to father. When father advised him with the 2 stories of Casabianca and Light Brigade stories, he wanted to say father that it is bad to have left behind Tony because Tony has been living with them for 7 years. Tony has been humanized with them. Tony manusek wage unne ekka jeewath wuna. He had human qualities as well. So it is bad to have left Tony behind. He wanted to say, but he was unable to say. Now he is repenting, being unable to tell father that he was never going to do anything naughty with Tony. Understand? He was never going to, no, he didn't, he was unable to say father that, he was unable to say father that he didn't want to do anything naughty or stubborn. Yeah. He was because he was next one because he was unable to tell father that he didn't want to do anything stubborn. Stuburn, S-T-U-B-O-U-R-N. S-T-U-B-O-U-R-N. He didn't want to do anything stubborn with Tony. Understood? Those are the two reasons that kept him up. Those are the two reasons that kept him up. Right. Now I am moving to sub-question C, where application, whether you can employ your knowledge to the particular context, is tested. Whether you can employ your knowledge to the particular context is tested. Let's see. Very easy. Question A, Lamai, sub-question A, enunciate in each word very carefully. Enunciate in each word very carefully. Lamai, you may write this way. Pronounce in each word very carefully. That won't be given marks from this year on. Pronounce in each word very carefully. That won't be given marks from this year. Because you have to refer to the context. Your answer should be contextual. It should relate and refer to the characters, events, context. Understood? Then you have to write this way. You better write it as a sentence with a subject. You start it with a subject. Complete correct sentence, you answer. Then your answer will be a contextual correct one for which you will get marks. Right? You can write this way, Lamai. The narrator's mother. You see, contextual characters are there. The narrator's mother, subject. The narrator's mother soothed. Soothed. Sanasua. The narrator's mother soothed. S-O-O-T-H-E-D. S-O-O-T-H-E-D. The narrator's mother soothed the narrator. Pronouncing each word very carefully and caring manner. Likewise, you can write the narrator's mother pronouncing his words very carefully and affectionately soothed her son. Now, likewise, you should write. It is contextual. Question B, Lamai. It is better it happened this way. It is better it happened this way. Mother says. It is better it happened this way. Yes, mother says that it is good. Tony left half a house. It is good Tony left the half house because there is no room for Tony. Because there is no room for Tony there in the half house. It is good Tony left the half house because there is no room for Tony there. That is how you are expected to answer to this question if you are to score all the 2 marks, right? You are not to lose any mark, right? The score 40 out of 40. That is what is expected, right? Now we are moving to the last question. We would move into the last question, right? Comment on her reaction on the narrator here. Comment on mother's reaction here. Mother soothing the son. Comment on it. Comment on it. You can appreciate it. Comment on her reaction on the narrator here. You have to write a comment. right? You have to come up with her good qualities. You have to analyze her good qualities. You have to talk how the narrator is soothed by the way mother handled her words, by the way mother handled her tone. That is how you have to discuss. Amma වචන හසුරුවන විදිහෙන් පුතාව කොහොමද සැනසෙන්නේ? අම්මගේ වචන භාවිතයෙන් පුතාව කොහොමද සැනසෙන්නේ? අන්න ඒ වගේ you have to answer. Comment on her reactions on the narrator here. Lamai, what are the qualities of the narrator here? As far as you think, what are the qualities you see here in the narrator? Mother here. Mother's qualities. She is so much sensible, affectionate towards the narrator. You better write it. She is so much sensible and affectionate towards her son. Narrator. Her son is the narrator. Sensible, affectionate. Those technical terms should be there. To interpret the qualities of a character, you should use the technical terms for which more marks will be given. With these technical terms, your language will be more powerful. Your communication of your ideas will be more powerful. You have a very good communication way with these technical words. She is so much sensible and affectionate towards her son. And also you can say she consoles her awakened son. She consoles her awakened son, saying the fact that it is better Tony went to his familiar place. Went to his familiar place where it will be better looked after. Where Tony will be better looked after. It is the familiar place. Tony is familiar with all the people around the area in Department. Also, you have to compare the situation with that of the half house in Egodavatta, right? Egodavatta half house, where there are Mr. Mendises. They treat badly to Tony, especially Mrs. Mendes finds Tony to be bad smelling. She is the one who asked. She is the one who asked Mr. Mendes to untie Tony and chase it away. Everybody knows, but no one says, right? Right. Also, you can write Lamai. She uses low, clear, sharp voice to touch the heart of the narrator. මේ අම්මා ගැන කියන්නේ comment on her reaction. එකත් ලියන්න. She uses a low, clear, sharp voice. Low, clear, sharp voice to touch the heart of the narrator and consoles him. Also, you can write Lamai and make him feel comfortable. She makes him feel comfortable here. She makes him feel comfortable here. So that the narrator fell asleep. So that as a result, the narrator fell asleep last of all with this soothing of the mother, right? Mother is the spring of mother as the spring of affection, love. Mother is the spring of affection and love, was able to make the son asleep, make the son sleep. That is how you give the interpret. That is how you give the C sentence, summary, sum up, right, to the whole paragraph. There you have the particular structure, organization to your paragraph. If you are to score all the marks, all the 4 marks to that, you should have that particular structure. First of all, you give some introduction to your answer. Next, you give examples to support the particular point. Last of all, you give an interpretation to your answer by giving a summary to the whole paragraph. That is how you are expected to write. Understand? Right, those are the things. If you have any problems, you can put chats, right? You can put chats on the chat box, right? Before we come to an end of the session. If you have anything to get clarified on the two questions we discussed today, yes, put in the chat box. Yes, I think, yes, Lamai, any question about this part or anything? Any question you have with regard to the subject, literature, poems, prose, short stories, dramas, novels? Any other question apart from, in spite of this section B? Right. Yes, do you have any question? You don't seem to have questions. Okay, now I am going to Lamai wind up the session. We'll be back with another session to discuss the essay type questions on bringing Tony home in another day. It will be informed by Mrs. Rasika and our English ADE, English director, Mr. Suru Jayasundaran. I would like to thank them in this situation for giving me this opportunity. Right. Thank for all of you as well for being with me for 1.5 hours. Right. We'll be back here again in another session on essay type questions. Okay, Lamai, goodbye.